Well, hey there. Let's talk about how to win when you have a bone to pick with someone. To have a bone to pick with someone, of course, means to have an unpleasant matter to settle, or a discrepancy, or a grievance, or something that you're arguing about. This idiom has a pretty interesting history. It goes back as far as the 16th century, early 16th century, when it was used to describe animals fighting over bones, or the last scrap, and trying to get the last scrap on a bone. It's kind of like when you're in a negotiation or a disagreement, or trying to reach some settlement in your business or at work, where you're arguing over the absolute positive last details. Kind of reminds me of my divorce, where and we didn't really argue, we settled it all out ahead of time, but we had to hammer out every little detail, down to who gets the tools, who gets the vehicles, I got the kids, but so I won, right? It depends on what the argument's about in our personal lives or in our professional lives, and how and what you want to actually achieve. What do you want your outcome to be? I always begin with the end in mind. And if something doesn't really matter, I'm totally willing to let that go and give up on that. That's just me, and that's over very hard fought, many arguments and negotiations and experiences that didn't necessarily turn out the way I wanted to. I might have won the argument or the negotiation, but if the other person lost, I didn't really feel good about that. So how do you make sure that if you have a bone to pick with somebody, if you've got a grievance or an argument or a disagreement, or you're trying to hammer out the details of a contract, how do you make sure that you feel good about it, but they feel good about it and win too? Well, you make sure that you're not 100% invested in the outcome. When we go into a situation, and we're especially negotiating situation, and we feel like we have to win and the other person has to lose, somehow those negotiations tend to always break down, and they never turn out as good as they possibly could when both parties go in with a win-win attitude. I remember one of the businesses that I worked for, we had 7 different labor unions in that organization. And so believe me, I was always getting grieved over something. Somebody was always upset about something I did. Number one, I was the only woman there, and so they were just upset that I was there in the first place, a lot of the people that worked there. And so every little thing I did, everything I said, grievance. It's like you're watching a football game and they're throwing flags everywhere. Their flags are flying everywhere. That's how I felt at that job. No matter what I did, no matter what I said, somebody was getting upset about it. And that's where I really developed the thick skin and the belief that there's got to be a way for everybody to feel good and to maintain their ego and their status and feel like they won, but so that everybody wins and nobody loses. There's so many things that we can nitpick about, but if I ever find myself nitpicking or worrying about the little bitty details, I know that it's gone too far. I know that the negotiation or the discussion has gone too far. And it's up to us. It's up to us as the leaders of our organization to make sure that our customers feel heard, feel listened to, feel like, and a lot of times the secret is in negotiations, people just want to be heard. They want to know that their side, their perception, their story is being heard by people that matter, and that it's being taken into consideration whenever decisions and choices and things are being made. So listen to your customers, listen to your employees, listen to your vendors, listen to your partners, listen to the people all over the world in the organization, listen to the experts, pay attention to what's going on in your industry, and you'll never really have a bone to pick with anyone, especially if you're just doing your own thing, doing the best you can, and serving your people to the best of your ability. And your people are your teammates, your partners, your employees, the people that work with you to serve your customers, the people that you're here to serve. So that's how I deal these days with having a bone to pick with someone. There's so many examples of people not handling negotiations or arguments or grievances or upset with somebody else in a positive way. And I'll admit that I've had experiences where I got my ego so tied into a situation that I didn't necessarily handle it the best of my ability. I remember one of my bosses always had a bone to pick with me, and I was in corporate America. My job was quality, and then later on quality and sanitation. So it was all about compliance and all about processes and systems. How can we continually improve to do things to the best of our ability? And some managers in different departments and in different functions and organizations don't want anybody ever questioning what they do, aka egos, right? And so I tended to stir up a lot of trouble or a lot of change and instances that people didn't necessarily want to address or look at, but for the overall good of the organization. That was my drive. My driver was, what's the best thing overall for our organization? Not what's the best thing for your individual department or my individual department. What is the best thing to get us the overall performance that we want? So I would love to know your experience with the idiom, having a bone to pick with someone, what you've learned about it, what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. Share in the comments below. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And how might you use it in your business right now to supersize and grow and create the impact that you want to on the world? Have an awesome day.